is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That, of course, Armored Saint. That one's simply called Mess. That is from the brand new live release, Carpe Noctum Live. Of course, it's Armored Saint and the guy, I'm going to say the ringleader of Armored Saint. I guess you guys are all the guy, but the ringleader always seems to be this guy, bassist Joey Vera. Joey, how are you, man?
I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent. Well, Joey, I got to say, man, nobody is more happy than I am that Armored Saint is extremely active right now. You guys have been on several tours, several big tours in the last year and a half, whatever. You know, you put out this release, you put out the actual recorded record, Win Hands Down, a year or so ago. It's just a busy time for you guys once again.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty unusual. I was just thinking just recently that I think we've done more shows on this album cycle than we've done in probably 25 years or something like that. Crazy. Wow. So it's been a blast. We've been pretty lucky to get a lot of opportunities to get out there. We've had a lot of support from our label and our booking agent, and of the fans, of course.
Sure.
So yeah, it's been really really fun. It's been cool.
Do you think, and you who's always busy and 14 other bands as well as Armored Saint, do you see that maybe the time that you guys, I don't want to say took off, but took extended breaks in between was good for the band because you didn't oversaturate at a time when this style of metal was, kind of on the outs?
Well, if you mean the 90s,
well, there's the 90s, but even some of the stuff in between, like 2000 and 2010.
Yeah. I guess it was. It certainly wasn't something we calculated. It just sort of was because of circumstance. With John was in Anthrax, and I'm still in Fate's Warning.
Sure.
And we just had to make priorities went elsewhere. But I don't know. I think it certainly has helped create some kind of a mystique or something, if you will, about the band. People, I think, have known about the band. They know the name, mm-hmm. But a lot of people don't know the band, so they have heard of the name. They've heard of it, mixed in with John, with his involvement with Anthrax, and maybe they've heard it through Fate's Warning camps. Mm-hmm. They remember it from back in the day, and Metallica. We got to play this Metallica thing
sure.
for their anniversary gig, and they graciously invited us to play there. Why did they invite this band, Armored Saint? Who is this Armored Saint band?
Right.
So a lot of people are familiar with the name, but a lot of people don't know about us. So maybe the fact that we are not out there all the time playing doesn't give a lot of people opportunities to experience it. So maybe it has helped, to create, to make that, more intriguing, I guess. I guess, yeah.
Sure, definitely. Well, I want to jump just to one or two Fates Warning questions. I know this is Armored Saint, but I did not get to talk to you on the record that you guys put out last year. Yeah. That has to be for you, for you, and not only you, but obviously the whole band, Fates Warning. That had to be really, really a good feeling for you guys to see that record be so well received, both from fans and critically. No?
Absolutely. We again, it's a similar situation with Fate's Warning and Armored Saint in that, when each record comes out, each record is fair to say they're vastly different from the one that precedes it. Mm-hmm. They're it's just they're a different animal. They always represent sort of like this time and a place for where the band is at, musically writing and playing together, sort of a thing. So you never know what what people are going to react with, you know. We were pleasantly surprised that that the reception's been so good. Now, I have to say that when we finished the record, we were all super proud of it, and
Sure.
we thought that it was a big improvement, or not an improvement, but it was I don't know, we felt a little better about theories than we did with Darkness.
Okay.
At least I'm going to speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but
Sure.
I was certainly happier with the overall big picture of it. Now, Darkness has a lot of great songs on it, a lot of great moments, but I just thought like the whole package, everything from the artwork to the production to the mixing, you know, the mixing was done by a different guy than we normally worked with, and I think it sounds better and it sounds more in line with what I felt like the band should sound like. There's a lot of great melodies on it. And it just kind of has everything to me. And so I was hoping that, you know, that people were going to get it, and people love it. So it's been a really cool thing.
Sure. Do you get, and this is straight curiosity from my head, I don't even know if this is a good interview question, but I'll ask. Do you get with Fate's Warning that, and I'll preface this by saying I am definitely a fan, a very big fan of Fate's Warning, but
Yeah.
do you get that with some of the stuff that you guys do, that even fans won't get it? And I'll point to Disconnected for me. I have it. I've listened to it 10 dozen times. I don't get it. It just doesn't, you know, it doesn't jive with me like some of the other records do.
Well, your question is,
Do you get it that when you put out stuff, it's not necessarily always going to connect with the fans?
Well, I think, you know, from my perspective, and being in Fate's Warning and Armored Saint too, you know, you do have a sense of like when you put something out, you know that you're pushing boundaries. You know that you're aware of what your fan base is sort of expecting from you, and so when you do certain things, you know, well, this is going to be kind of a challenge for people to listen to, and so. You're pretty much aware of it, but being an artist and being a composer, that should, I don't know, in my opinion, that should never hold you back. That should, if you feel like you should say something, then you should find a good way to say it.
Sure.
I'm not one that believes that we need to be slaves to expectations, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I applaud anyone who is a writer and who pushes the envelope, challenges themselves, and also challenges the listeners too. So I'm not really surprised. Like, you know, when we went through this little bit of a Fate's Warning, that is, went through this little bit of a tool phase. That's kind of what I call it, where we were just experimenting and playing with atmosphere and playing with in simplicity, you know, really.
Sure.
And letting that breathe. And I think that a lot of the prog fans, you know, a lot of them really liked it, but I think a lot of them were still scratching their heads like, that's not the Fate's Warning that I know, right. You know. And the same holds true for Armored Saint. I think when La Raza came out, it was the same thing. I knew when making that record that it was a little off center of what we're normally used to doing, and I knew that it was going to be a challenge for some of our fans to swallow, and sure enough, it was. Especially Europe, a lot of European press kind of panned it.
Okay.
It was something I was aware of and ready for, but it's, you know, certainly didn't stop me.
Right. Excellent. Nice. Well, let's move back to Armored Saint, and specifically the new record, Carpe Noctum Live. You guys did this differently, you know, basically from the jump when you did the Kickstarter campaign. I guess I'll let you explain it. Why did you do that? Was that just to fund it or to help fund it, or what was going on that you did it that way?
Well, the truth is that we recorded this. We had a few live recordings from 2015, really just sort of, in our archives because we had just done a few tours in Europe and we had the opportunity to record a few of these shows. And so we just had them there. We was really no intention of us, hey, we're going to make a live record, let's record. It wasn't like that at all. It was just we had simply the opportunity to document some live shows. But this year, when we got offered this Queensryche tour, we were getting ready to go out on the tour, and the label suggested having a bridge product, something that is between records.
Okay.
They thought it was a good opportunity to have something out there. It would help promote the tour. It would be something else to talk about. It would be, another thing. It was a high-profile tour for us, this Queensryche tour, and so we said, "Well, this is I think that's a great idea." Now, then this idea came up of working with Pledge Music and making this whole thing available in advance for people, and this whole fan club idea, which is kind of what it is. It was alien to us at first because we've never done it.
Sure.
But we saw this opportunity to have fans be more involved in something that we're putting out. And in the process, they will help us with a little bit of financial help that we really needed to do the Queensryche tour.
Sure.
So it was a twofold sort of a situation where this opportunity just presented itself, and we said, well, we kind of need to do this in a way because the Queensryche tour was very expensive, and this was a way for people to be involved in the record, be involved in something that we were putting out, and also it was a way for us to actually pay a lot of bills.
Right.
And so once that whole thing came up, it was like, okay, well, let's make this. Let's do this. But originally, the campaign was the record was only gonna be available to the campaign. It was only gonna be that, just like a limited release. Only, I don't know. We were gonna only put out 1,000 or something, or
Right.
2,000 or something like that. But then after mixing the record, I kind of went back to the label and said, I don't know, I'm kind of really happy with the way this is turning out. Why don't we just make this an actual real release and actually release it to the world like a normal release?
Sure.
And they agreed, and so that's what we're at.
Okay. Do you think, and it doesn't necessarily have to be only for Armored Saint, it could be Fates Warning, it could be, some side project that you're working on, but do you think that with the way that the industry has really changed, that doing things like this might be kind of the way of the future to actually release some stuff, even if it's like 2 songs, two or 3 songs here or there that you just do for fans? Here's the pledge music. Only the people that do pledge $5 or whatever get this 3-song EP. Do you see that as a viable way to go in the future?
I do actually, because the sad truth is that across the board, and this is it's a generalization, but people just aren't buying records anymore. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth, and labels know it, and artists, if they don't know it, they should know it, because it's just the truth.
Sure.
So, you do need to find other ways to be creative in making your music and getting your music out there. Artists, artists won't stop making music.
Right.
But how people get that music, that is what's changing.
Mm-hmm.
So you do need to do things creatively to help facilitate that on several levels. On one level, creatively, you just want to get your music to people, and you want to share your music with people. And on the other hand, you need to have, since no one's buying records, record labels and artists need to find other ways to earn income. And it's, for lack of a better similar example, it's kind of goes back to when you were first starting out and you didn't have a record label you'd sell cassettes out of the trunk of your car when you
Right.
play gigs. Well, it's not that different from that, you know.
Sure.
So I think that even labels, to be honest with you, and management companies, you're going to start to see them getting involved in this kind of. It's kind of a I feel like this crowdfunding or this campaigns that are driven by fans has come out of it's come out of a need to, you know, just to get closer to people, and it's come out of, and that is the result of social media.
Mm-hmm.
So the way fans even perceive and attach themselves to the bands that they like, it's much different than it was, say, back in the 70s. You know,
Right. Sure.
people have so much more close and, you know, really close access to the artists that they like and to bands. So that has fueled this whole wave of this a different way of doing business, and you're going to see labels getting involved in it. You're going to see management companies getting involved in this. It's just the way it's just the way that it is. If this business, the music is still going to always be a business of sorts.
Sure.
But but it does have to adapt to the way that society is functioning, you know.
Right, sure. Now, explain this to me, Joey, because I don't get it, and we talk about it all the time on the show, and I, for the life of me, I don't get it. I understand, I understand that the labels, you know, are trying to adjust, and the bands are trying to adjust, and I understand that they wanted to make a legal way. So then you had the rise of Spotify, Rhapsody, whatever. What I don't understand is why, like your record, like the new record came out on whatever Friday it was, you know, at the end of last year, and the whole thing was on Spotify. Instead of, why don't the labels or the bands or somebody say, okay, well, we'll put the first 4 songs on here on this tier, and if you pay $5 a month, you can get those songs. But if you pay $10 a month, you get the whole albums from bands. You see what I mean? I don't understand how putting all of the material out there for free day one is beneficial to anybody other than, and you know, we can argue back and forth about, do you make enough money with Spotify, Rhapsody, YouTube, whatever. But ultimately, if you give away the cow, people aren't going to be, you know, going to the store to buy a steak.
Right. Well, I'm not exactly sure what the exact answer to that is. I do know that it's, you know, people, I think consumers in general, they get really used to something. They get used to things really quickly. So
Sure.
if things are available to them from other sources, or let's say other bands have, they make, other labels are making everything available all at once, everyone's got to follow suit, because if you want to keep up with the consumer, you need to keep giving them what they're desiring. And unfortunately, it's gotten to this point where, you know, people really, I mean, they kind of expect everything like right now, and they want it all, and they want it all right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so the labels, I think, have a hard time dealing with that, because you can't fight it. I mean, you just can't, you know, that's why I say, like, record sales are just, people aren't buying records anymore. So what do you do? The next thing, like, CDs are just going to go by the wayside eventually.
Sure.
So the only thing that's going to be left, and that people are already doing it, is streaming. So the only way anyone's going to ever listen to music is by streaming. No one's going to even own anything anymore.
Right.
So it's, you know, I think that's the quagmire with the labels right now, is how do they maneuver their business to stay in business
Right.
when all people are doing are just listening on their earbuds and on their cell phones. That's how they're listening to music.
Sure.
They're streaming it. So how do they get paid? How does the artist get paid? How does the server get paid? I mean, it's very, you know, it's pretty, makes your brain hurt if you think
Right.
about it too much. But I don't know. It is a strange thing. The whole deal is a strange thing, and it's an argument that we're probably going to continue to have for another 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I would think it's not going away anytime soon.
Nope.
But let's hope that with that, Armored Saint's not going away anytime soon either. Let's hope that you get to live through the argument. How's that?
Sure. I mean, we've been through a lot of different, forms of media already, cassettes and vinyl and then CDs and, DVDs came and went, and no one really buys DVDs anymore either.
Right.
And, now here we are with MP3s and downloads, and our music's in the cloud, and I still don't know what the hell the cloud is. And, it's a trip,
It definitely is, man. Now, you talked about new music. I'm going to guess at some point we will hear a new Armored Saint record?
Well, we haven't said no, but we also haven't said we're going to start working on another record. But, we work in this sort of way where we don't have a manager knocking on our door. We don't have the label knocking on our door saying, I need a new record now. We pretty much have the luxury, and this comes out of the generosity of our record label, Metal Blade.
Sure.
But they let us work at our own pace. So we just it really has to come from a genuine place. It has to come from a real spark of, it's got to have some inspiration that comes from the netherworld. I mean, it really has to happen naturally. We don't work very well in a way where it's very structured and, we have to do this and have to do that. So we still try to maintain that, So, we've been so busy with all these dates that we've been doing in the last 12, 14 months or whatever. That's more like 18 months.
Yeah.
And there's no real break in sight yet, especially I'm leaving for Europe next week with Fate's Warning. We're doing the 3-week tour there, and then I get back from that, and then a couple weeks later, Armored Saint's going back to the UK, and we're doing a UK tour. And we're playing in Wales and 2 shows in Ireland, and we're playing Manchester and Birmingham in the UK. And so we have a lot of things going on. We're also going back and doing a weekend in Chicago in May. So a lot of things still on the horizon, and I think we really need to have a time where we kind of just say, okay, let's stop working and just let the dust settle.
Sure.
And then wait and see what happens.
Right. And that time is not coming soon.
Not really soon, I mean, some bands are able to go out on tour and they write during the day. They write, sometimes they work on stuff at sound check, or they write in the back of the bus or whatever.
Right.
We've never been like that ever. So that's just the kind of animal that we are. We work best when we go back into hibernation and then start woodshedding,
Sure. Well, we'll definitely be looking for that. But for people that want to hear what's going on right now with Armored Saint, you can pick up the new one, which is called Carpe Noctum Live. It is available wherever they sell music these days. I can't even say CDs anymore. Wherever they sell music, you can get it. So Joey, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the new release and maybe tell us a quick story about it. So what would you like us to wrap this up with?
All right. Well, let's do Muscle Memory.
All right.
Muscle Memory is one of my favorite songs on the record. I think that inspiration for me came about where I think I was trying to think about what were some of the things that we did well as a band, and I wanted to exercise that more. So some of the things, specifically, are the grooves between the bass and the drums, and also the way that guitar play parts are kind of played. And I was inspired. The chorus section is this sort of a fast part, but I was really inspired by the way that Dave Pritchard used to play guitar.
Sure.
And I did go back and I listened to, I don't know, a couple of older songs that I thought struck me as a way that he actually played rhythm guitar. And so I said, I'm going to do something that has a little nod to Dave Pritchard. And so for me, this is the song that I came out with.
All right, well, let's check it out right now. It is Armored Saint with Muscle Memory right here on your Classic Metal Show.